Hey up everybody and welcome back. Right, we have had another, well, we've got a constant flow of new subscribers, and what was it, Tuesday of last week, something like that. We had another little flurry and things like that, so we're hurrying along to large numbers. I don't think I'm ever going to get 1 million, but there you go. I don't know if I want 1 million, because for one thing I'd spend all my time answering comments. But anyway, we're going to press on here. We're going to put the alternator on, which, unlike your Lucas one, isn't just plug a rotor on and stick the stator on and you're done. That's the cover that it goes in, but it's sort of got to be mounted inside this, and it's one of those energized ones. So there's wires and all sorts of things. Pardon me. So anyway, we're going to do that, and I think we're going to do the cylinder head. So without more ado, let's press on. Now, as I just said, this is not your Lucas type alternator. There are, in fact, you could say, 2 stators, all these wires. And here's the rotor. And the rotor, as you can see, is actually made up of 2 halves welded onto an inner ring. So that goes on the end of the crank as per usual. Then this one is drilled and tapped. That goes inside of there. So basically that goes around that, and then that goes around that. So that will put on the end of the crank as normal, and as I say, this, you can see how it bolts in there, and this actually sort of just has slots, or half holes if you like, and half holes in there, and that's how that bolts on with the screws that I've kept to one side. So let me zoom you in and we'll see about putting this together. Right, now then, here's our hole for the wires to come out. So we're going to put that in first. Goes in like that. Slots onto there. Okay. And that goes over 3 short ones. Oh, let me go and clean these. They've been in the bag. I forgot about cleaning them. Let me rephrase that last statement. Of course, I didn't forget about cleaning them. I merely decided that I would clean them at a point closer to assembly. Right. Now I noticed they were a little corroded as well, so I put some grease on. And if you're wondering about the case screws we just put in, funnily enough, that's another benefit of greasing the gasket. When you're daubing the grease on with a brush or whatever, you can put some actually into the holes you're going to put the case screws in, so they all get nicely greased so they don't stick. I'm really glad I did the Yamaha name in blue. I wasn't going to, because I was thinking, oh, that's a mess on with masking and everything, but although it took a while, I think it came out well. Okay, so that one goes in there like that. Our little rubber thing goes in, so the flat side is up, and then this one's got a flat side as well, so we put that in. You can see the mark where it was crushed. That you would think would go in like that by the wires. Okay, so that goes in like that. Line up our half holes. And then we put them in there. I moved you out of shot there. No, hey, I'm doing quite well here. So we'll screw these in. and then we will go and put the rotor on the shaft. And there will be a gasket to go on this cover, so we'll sort that out. That. This case of course has a couple of dowels, but they're still in there, so we're alright. Okay, so that's that. Okay. Funny how you get used to things. I was thinking that would go on like that, you know, but it doesn't, it goes on that way. It's also actually got a thread here which is for an extractor. You screw it in and it pulls that off there. So I've cleaned up the tapers inside and out. So that goes on there. Bolt with a big washer. And there's no torque setting for this. If we can actually ever get it to catch the thread. There we go. There's no torque setting, so we'll just tighten it up good and tight. There is a lock washer, sprung lock washers. And also, there's no gasket, so I guess we'll just have to put some gasket cement on there. Right now then. Oh, I know what I've got we can put on there to hold that. A good old Sammy Miller product, would you believe? Sammy Miller. I wonder if this is what I used to get it off. Look, it's set at about the right size. Oh, come on. Let's get somewhere where I can get at it. I wanted it down there so I could just press on the bench. But this will give us plenty of leverage anyway. It is of course actually a flywheel holding tool. But this is near as damn it a flywheel. Oh, right, yeah, I can hear me sinews snapping there. God, old age is terrible. Alright, so that's on tight. So we'll slap a bit of gasket cement around there and then we'll pop that back on. This bottom rubber grommety thing is old and nasty, and let's say the wires will want to go that way underneath the engine. That wants to go over there. This is going to be the hardest part of the entire engine, I think. Getting this grommet to line up. That's got it in. Whether it'll stay there is another matter. Okay, so that goes on there. Got it. And as I say, we have some 4 long ones of these. Go right through the casing. And then we have one of them. Is that the same length as that? Yes, it is. Okay. I'll tell you what we'll do. Same as I was expecting to be greasing the gasket. That won't fit in there, will it? Alright, well I'm just going to fasten these up now, so I'll turn you off. That's that on there. So the last thing I think that goes on this side is actually that. It says on it 2040 oil. What we put in when we get round to it. Okay. And a little bit more polish. It doesn't quite look right around the edge. Okay, but we'll polish them up and then we'll have to give this a wash because there's some little fingerprints got on it. But as I say, this finish here washes up nicely. You can also see, hang on, let me raise you. Not exactly elevated to the peerage, but this here is the plastic cover that goes over the starter motor, and it was black, so I painted it in silver because I thought, I don't mind that, but I didn't want a big black cover on top. I didn't think it would look right. So, okay. So next thing we're going to do is the cylinder head. Now before I fit the head, of course I've got to rebuild it because I stripped it completely. A, so I could check the valves, but also so that when I bead blasted it there weren't valves and things in to get in the way. So when I stripped it, as always, you take care, you put all the exhaust things in one box, all the inlet things in another one, and also because this is bucket and shim type, I marked all the shims. Now I'll be checking the valve clearances, but working on the assumption that they were probably pretty close to start with, I wanted to keep the right buckets and shims in each place. The buckets don't matter so much, but the shims do. So same with the valves. All the valves are in separate bags, so everything goes together the way it came apart. Now these valves have a little oil seal on them, like these things here. So I've got new ones. We've got to take the old ones off before I can put the valves in. Now I'm not going to show all the valve grinding and putting the valves in and everything because you've seen that before. And if you haven't, if you go to either the Indian Trailblazer, I think, or certainly the BSA 250 trials bike, you'll see me working on a head there, and they're all the same. So to get these things off, you can't just stick a pair of pliers in, because you'll crimp it up tighter onto the valve stem. Not the valve stem, sorry, the valve guide. So there are special little tools and things like that, and of course Steam Shop has a big machine for doing this, but he's still sunning himself in Florida. So I made up a tool to go down and get underneath the lip and pull it off. And in order to be able to give it a pull, I tap this end, and I have a variety of slide hammers. This one actually is for taking the points plate and the auto advance unit off the Beezer singles. So we'll screw that in there, and make sure we'll do this one here. Make sure you can see what I'm doing. Alright, so the idea is, or should be, that this goes down in there, gets under the edge of that, and then we just get a bit of something. Off it comes. Right, so I'm going to take the others off, grind valves in, and then we'll come back when I'm ready to put this on, because we'll put this onto the barrels, then we'll put the camshafts in and all that sort of stuff. Now, as I showed you how to get these seals off, I thought I should show you how to put them on, or at least how I'm putting them on. So it's got a metal outer body, and then you can see the rubber part with a couple of ribs on, so that grips onto the valve guide, and then here is the seal with this little spring. So what you need is something to actually knock it on just using the metal edge. So you get yourself something like this. I've made out of aluminium so it doesn't do any damage, with a hole big enough to go around the seal part and press onto the metal. Then I don't know if you're supposed to do this, but I'll put a drop of oil on just to ease the rubber part over. So of course it's a long way down, certainly too far for my fingers. So you pop it on, put your little thingy on there, make sure it's on nicely, get it straight. And there it is, on it goes. So now let me put the valves in. Well, as I was grinding the valves in, I came across a problem. Well, two problems actually. A bent exhaust valve and a bent inlet valve. So pistons didn't show any damage at all. They were fine, and you know, the chain was on fine, so I don't know what that is. So I'll put the other four valves in and I'll order a new pair of valves. Now it would appear that XS750 valves are in short supply. I went to the place, big Yamaha old stock place that I normally use, and they only had 2 exhausts in stock and no inlet. And the exhaust ones, they wanted $118 each. That's 100 quid near enough at today's exchange rate. So I searched around, I found, I think it's an exhaust one in the UK, genuine sort of Yamaha stock, for $50 odd. And then I found an inlet here that the guy wants $80 for, so I suppose I'll have to get it because I virtually didn't find any more. I found some made by Vesra, I think it was, but there was one comment on the guy who'd ordered them and he said it was 3/16 of an inch too long. So I wasn't going to risk paying for them, and they were so cheap I didn't like the sound of them. So anyway, we're going to do something else. So I thought what we'd do is we'll put the starter motor on. So that's the cover for it, which, as I say, I painted silver because it was black plastic, and it has this little rubber trim. So I'm going to warm up the rubber trim and put it on, and then we'll go and put the starter motor on. Starter motor on these mounts up on top, pokes through here to where the gears and everything are. I'm not going to do this side yet because without the electric starter clutch and various things in here, I can get the cam chain in a lot easier. So for now we're just going to put this in. So it has an O-ring on it, goes in there like that, and there are 2 mounting bolts at the back here. There. One there. These are 8mm bolts at the back. 1.25. So was really surprised, that thing with the valves. I actually saw a couple of places that advertised them and said they fitted the 400 twin and a couple of others. But I went to the big Yamaha place I mentioned because they have the parts books online, and the part numbers were completely different. So we weren't going to fall foul of that. So seeing as I say, one's coming from the UK, it'll probably be a while before I can get the head done. Which is a shame, because once the head's on, we can put the carburetors on, we can put the exhaust pipes on, we'll really be bombing along. Right, so with that on, next thing to do is we're going to put, where is it? Right, put it over here. We'll mount the solenoid over there and put this cable on here. So let me get that organised round that side. So I've got the cable on. It's got to go in a specific route because the cover's got a cutout for it. So then the cover goes on. Under there. Down there like that. Then we have two bolts that hold it on the top. The 6mm. I don't want to use Allen's. I want to use the button head ones. So I've got to get a couple of 6mm ones to go on there. But then that goes on there like that. So let's go around the other side and look at a bit of wiring. So I put the start the solenoid on this little bracket, and there's the cable going through to the starter motor. And that's for the battery, and that goes up to the starter switch. So we can also on this side put the rectifier regulator thing on. It's out of the way, it's not going to. Hit again. Hit fiddliness. Alright, so I'll get this bolted on here, and then I guess we can connect up at least the wires from the alternator to this. So we'll get these little jobs done on this side, and then I suppose we could put the mid gearbox on. Well, I've slipped up here a little bit, nothing major, but I've made things hard for myself. I never noticed that there was a connector on this, and that's because when you put this on, you actually more or less cover the oil pressure switch. But fortunately, as you can see, it's just a slotted one, and I can get, again fortunately it wasn't just a screw head, it's a bolt head, 7mm, so I can get that up in there, slacken it off, push this thing on and tighten it up again. But I'd never noticed it was sort of a separate piece to the harness. So when I've got this on, we'll push that under there, and I think, yeah, there are a couple of little threaded bosses here, and we have some little cable fasteners that go on there, so I can put that on and bring it up under the engine. So I take my hat off for this and get on my knees. And I think give myself a bit more light. Now I can see what I'm doing. Good, was I lucky that that is... I've got a nasty feeling I just undid that too much and it came out. No. Myself as much wire as I can here. Turn that boot inside out. Come on now. I must be able to screw that out a little bit more. See, I'm worried to death that this little bolt drops out, because then I'm really... Oh, there it goes. It's on. There we go. Nil desperandum. Okay, now all I've got to do now is get that boot to go back round, and then I'll put these wires up out of the way. Right then, I think this is going to be it for today. We'll put the middle gearbox on. Now, I've put the gasket on, although I don't need to, because originally, of course, this gearbox was filled with oil, but it wasn't open in the middle like that. So I've got two sealed bearings now in this. So we'll... oh! Look! I'm missing half of it. That goes in first. Yeah. Now then. Now, there we go. Come on, splines. There it goes. Of course, we have that big spring. Now then, let's think. What have we got here? We have got a countersunk one that goes in there. Let me have to take that off. There, that's a bit easier. Then we have a number of other ones. Where does that one go? That's the bigger size. That one goes down there. That one goes in there. That one is too long. Oh yeah, I think I had to buy some more for this because, of course, we need some different sized ones now, don't we? The others are too long because this thing did come right out here. So I'll get another couple of Allen bolts, just to pop them in there. That's got grubby, hasn't it? Clean that up a little bit, and then we'll put the chain on. So as I say, that's it for now. Annoying about the valves, but never mind. So I'll go and do something and you go off and enjoy yourselves.